Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome again to a Tip Tuesday with me, Kelly Hoey, author of Build Your Dream Network, and Neda Dallal from Penguin Random House Company Reads. Wow. Well, hey, and look, we're getting fancy. Week 3 in. Look at this. Woo!
We've got a PowerPoint, folks.
Be worried, world. Kelly put together a PowerPoint. So, Neda, for anyone who has not been part of our conversations, fools that they are, sillies to have missed this, though you can go back and watch our prior live streams for our banter. Neda, tell them, everybody, what Company Reads is.
Sure. Hi, everyone watching. So Company Reads is an initiative that connects organizations with dynamic speakers and their award-winning books. And we want to help support you, leaders and teams and organizations at every level. So essentially our mission is to help organizations productively discuss the topics that matter, like networking, for example, and how to be better at it and how you can make your employees better at it in order to spark creativity and create change and connect through the power of books. And we have our monthly Company Reads book club, which we use to showcase all the amazing titles and speakers that we represent. So this month's book pick, of course, is Build Your Dream Network, and that's why I'm here with Kelly every Tuesday. I'm just thrilled to be here, and and we would love to partner with anyone out there who's watching this. If you are interested in bringing Kelly or Build Your Dream Network or both to your organization to help your teams productively discuss the topic of networking, we're happy to start that conversation with you. So reach out to us on our website, companyreads.com, or go to our LinkedIn page, and we'll get that conversation started. So thrilled to be back with you once again, Kelly.
Oh, so good to see you. I would say there is the power of the screen, but you and I both know there's something nice about getting off a screen and picking up a book and using that as an activity. But let's get around to what we're talking about today. Whew. I tell you, this was a good question you posed, Neda. How can employers facilitate and encourage networking amongst employees? Because you and I both know a lot of times with networking and with my book, people think about the individual and how individuals, how they need to take the action. But what are the structures? What are the ways that companies can add in? I want to say a little spice, a little something to encourage this between employees, because those internal networks are so critical. I just want to pause before we get going to also, and we are kind of diving in. If people have questions, please, put them in the chat, share with us, ask your questions, because we kind of like to address them in these conversations as well. And what not that I don't like our conversations every week, Neda, but this week kind of picks up on some of the things we talked last week.
Yeah.
When you really asked me about, and this visual pulled straight from Build Your Dream Network, the differences and the importance of wide versus narrow networks, and why you need to have both and why these are critical. And if we think about the workplace, and the bigger question that we're talking about today of networks at work, there's really two. There's your immediate team, and then there's that wider network of collaborators. Right. And I'll get you to chime in here. One of the things, as you shared last time, was Penguin Pairs, how Penguin Random House is enabling and encouraging employees to meet people from other departments, other offices.
Yeah, even other countries, because we have offices, around the globe. So that's something I found really cool and interesting, just like helping facilitate those conversations that you would never really have otherwise with someone from, Penguin Random House Australia, for example, or India. It seemed like a really great way to create those connections where they wouldn't have come up otherwise.
Yeah, which really gets to this point that we often need to manufacture a little networking serendipity. I don't know about you, Neda. You probably heard people say, "Oh, they miss those in-person events because that's when they got to meet people."
Yes, totally.
But those things don't just happen by chance. I would say environments are structured to encourage that networking serendipity.
Right.
Sometimes I think this idea that, things worked before when we were in real life in person, I think it overlooks, as I sort of like to say, Neda, sort of a benign neglect. We're sort of not just necessarily lazy, but a little bit of benign neglect of and missing out the opportunities to structure the opportunities for this networking serendipity. And, I think you have to be intentional about this. So it's too important, making those connections just to leave it to chance. You think about penguin pairs. Before penguin pairs, what was stopping any employee at Penguin Random House from reaching out to any other employee anywhere in the world at Penguin Random House? You needed a company to kind of be, I want to say, like the social lubricant to facilitate these. Let me give you another example, because so much now we're talking about people going back into the workplace, and what is that going to look like? One of the things I'm thinking about in the past is I've done a lot of work with Capital One and had some really interesting conversations with one of the executives, Stephanie Sperlin, and she's responsible for the design of all their offices and spaces. And in their headquarters, they took away trash cans at individual people's workplace, like workspace. Like, so your desk, your cubicle, whatever, they took away the trash cans and they centralized trash and recycling.
Ah.
Okay, so why did they do that? Not because, let's make it easier for the janitorial staff. No, it was to encourage people to get up, move around, and talk to other people.
Right. Yeah, it was like sort of a water cooler of sorts, but, trash.
The trash cooler. Exactly. It was to encourage conversations. Another example I think about my own career, when I was early in management, the law firm I was at, the managing partner at the time would have these new manager meetings, and he would get people from across different departments and silos and have people talk about their jobs. So that's another thing, kind of a simple way in some ways for leadership to think about, right, how are we designing and using space, and how are we facilitating introductions? So there's some thoughts there, and it was kind of good. I was reading something in Fast Company, rip the pages out. Yes, I am that person who rips pages out of magazines. You're like, oh no, Kelly. I don't rip pages out of books, Neda, but I do out of magazines.
Okay,
and
they were that distinction.
And they were talking about people going back to work, and it was an interesting piece. They had a lot about Salesforce, whose offices I have been in, and the way they were redesigning space. But what was missing from this article is, now, how are we humans going to use this?
Right.
What are we going to do? So you ready for some ideas, Neda?
I am.
So let's dive in on this. And again, if you've got questions, please share them in the comments to this live streaming video. And we'll get to them. We'll answer them. It'll be awesome. So what are some things that we can learn from the events industry, which has had to take everything virtually over the past 15 months? Top of the list, leverage technology. And what I'm loving seeing with some of these hybrid events that I have been part of, Neda, is that those who are in the socially distanced physical event experiencing what's going on, on stage, they're also able to see the people who are virtually attending. So not just that you, as a virtual attendee, you're seeing the back of everybody's heads, or you're seeing the stage and some people are there online or sort of there in person. You are visible to the other attendees, even though you're not in the physical space.
I see, yeah.
And I think, when you think of so many people who, and it's been a big question, people who have always worked from home or always worked remotely, how can they feel connected? Being seen and seeing others is a way to do that. So there's an idea. Since this is also live streaming to LinkedIn, Neda, are you familiar with seeing those like little green circles, and I forget the other color, maybe it's orange or something, that people give social signaling as to opposed to being like open to work or available?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Why can't we start doing it using those kind of visual indicators with respect to people's profiles, with respect to whether or not they're online? Mm-hmm. So it's like faster and easier to see. Is someone available? Can we tap them? Maybe you could, you don't want to have too many colors. It could get crazy. One of the other things I think is in terms of social indicators, why not indicate when someone's a new hire? Why not indicate when someone has got years of experience? Why not indicate in terms of someone, like almost like class years? Go college alumni on this, because as a new person wondering who and how to ask something, maybe some of those quick color indicators or something around someone's profile might make it easier for you to think about, oh, maybe I should ask that person. They've been here a long time. Or, ooh, this is a really basic question. I was onboarded in the past, 6, 8, 12 months. Do I want to ask someone with 20 years seniority? Maybe I should ask someone who's kind of closer in onboarding experience to me. So there's some ideas there. We've talked about, and other social indicators. The other thing from the event industry, thinking about, okay, Neda, cast your mind back.
Okay.
Remember going to, and if you went to an in-person like conference or event, and you got your physical name tag, and then there was a table where you could put like little ribbons and other things on, so you could indicate your interests. There's another thing. Why can't we be using emojis and things like that so that people can quickly, in a kind of fun way, see who's like me without, you can a quick glance, and then you can, dive into their profile. Why can't we use these kinds of things at work?
Yeah.
And below people's names, like, come on, you tech people, you could develop this for me. It would be awesome.
I love that. It sort of like gamifies the situation a little bit. So it makes it sort of feel like, there's a level of like fun to it. It's not just, reaching out as a chore because you feel like you have to, but there's like, you know more about the person from those little elements, and going into that situation and talking to them, you kind of feel like you can have something to start the conversation. I love that.
Well, and I think the idea too, you've just also hit on it, chore. Like, oh, I should ask someone. And it's like, oh my God, as I always say to people, do your research first.
Right.
You work in a big company, you can spend your hours trying to research. So hopefully you've got a mentor, fingers crossed, or maybe somebody you could ask, like, who's a good person to ask, but someone may just refer you to the employee directory. So what do you do instead? You put a big open general question in a Slack group, and you feel like an idiot for doing this. So how about we make it easier for people to find the experts? Keyword searches in these tools are always helpful, but this gamification and to quickly visually say, oh, look, that person's got that on their profile. I know that means I'm going to go and talk to this. I do like this. I do love, one of the things I do love with StreamYard is we do get to see when people are participating and part of it. And yes, leaving my heart emoji. I'm glad you're leaving the heart emoji. Thank you for that. One of my favorite emojis as well. So anyway, there's some ideas, an office podcast profiling employees. You can pick 1 or 2 questions and have people record it like they've done on NPR, like answer the question so people can hear the voices and find people out. I think there's other sort of ways to do this. I just want to quickly touch on two other things here. So topic-based mentoring, what I've heard from a lot of organizations is there are senior people who want to mentor, but the junior people don't know what to ask or how to approach them. Why don't we make it easier by saying, all right, we'll have mentoring Thursdays at our company or mentoring Fridays, and pick different leaders and different topics so people know what they're going to talk about.
Right.
And yeah, because, you know, I remember one organization I was speaking with, they said, yeah, we had all these illustrious people from the organization ready to mentor, and all the junior people were like, blah, 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 I don't know what to talk to them about. So why don't you make it group mentoring? Why don't you take some pressure off? Why don't you set a topic?
I love that. As someone who has been a mentee in the past and felt very intimidated by what to ask, that would have been very helpful to me.
And the last thing I want to say from sort of this events industry sort of idea is the concierge. Like a real sage go-to person. Think about when you know, okay, Neda, this is another cast your mind back. Remember when you went to a hotel?
Oh, God. A million years ago, yes.
Yeah, and you'd ask the concierge for recommendations. I'm thinking this is a terrific role for someone who has got maybe seniority in your company, who's transitioning, right? Maybe they're up for a career retirement. Maybe this is a great role for someone who is at a point in their life that having the P&L responsibility or other operationals or management oversight, maybe they need to step off to step back in later into that kind of track again. But there's this time period where they're like, I can't, but they still want to continue to work. What a terrific role for them to be, like kind of like the concierge, like the networking facilitator, so that people know, all right, there's this highly connected, knowledgeable person of our company. I can go to them with my, ooh, I'm new, who do I talk to? Or, hey, based on your, and let that person tap around in and around their network and find some of these answers, and facilitating those human conversations. So there's another idea for you.
Fabulous.
Let's see if anybody, there we go. I like this. LinkedIn user, you are just full of great thoughts. Yeah, thank you. Green from, oh, Woman on IT. Thank you. Good to see you. And thank you for joining us today. Adding in, and I had a great, terrific interview with them the other day. And I'm seeing a familiar name. Again, hey, Kathleen, I think I've seen you many times on your name in the stream. Thank you for joining us once again for this Company Reads Penguin Random House. A month of Tip Tuesdays from Neda and myself. So good. All right. There's some lessons. Okay. And you know what, those lessons, you know, I could scroll back to our slide of the wide and narrow. Those other ideas were sort of like, all right, what can we do in a big picture within a company? Right. Here's some ideas of things to do on a team level. Mm-hmm. Because at work, you've got two networks, the overall company, your immediate team. Right. So where do you want me to start, Neda?
Oh, man. Let's start with no meeting Fridays, because you and I have been talking about this one.
Oh, and why did we start talking about it?
Because, so that's something that Penguin Random House has recently implemented, and it's something I think you also do in your everyday practice. And we have both found that it has made for much more productive Fridays and a lot more time to like have those networking conversations that we don't have time for at other points in the week. So building that time in has been really nice for me, at least.
Yeah, I'm going to say, and my friends at Nucleus Strategy, the same thing. They leave Fridays as no meetings. Our brains need the space to do the work, but two, you put all this time and effort into creating training programs or professional development opportunities or mentoring pairs fill in the blank, right? Mentoring groups, all this kind of stuff. We encourage people to meet each other at work. And then you've got 5 days of meetings.
Right.
And then
it's usually with all the same people. So you never really leave your little bubble.
Right. So there's an idea, right? Create a day, unless it's obviously there can be client crises, there can be emergencies, and putting a no meeting Friday means that if it's really critical, put on that, but otherwise leaving the space for people to take advantage of the structures and the opportunities you want them to take advantage of. So, so there's the no meeting. Some of these others, welcome observers, that is pulled from Build Your Dream Network. Janet Hansen, when she was at Goldman Sachs, one of the groups that she was hired into in a work experience program, she was hired into one group, realized her professional interests were with another group, fought to be able to attend their lunch and learns. Ultimately, when she was invited back and hired by the firm, she was hired into that other group where she'd gone to the lunch and learns.
Love it.
So welcome observers into your lunch and learns. Let them know what you do. Let them know who it's for and say, hey, no problem to come and watch. You might, steal away that talented intern from another group. Oops. But you'll also start cross-pollinating ideas, and you'll have more understanding of what is going on and breaking down some of those silos, which are an unfortunate byproduct of the way we have organizational structures. We talked about the emojis before, got the no meeting Friday. Let me touch this one, no in real life without work from home. As we go back into the workplace, people are excited. They'll be able to grab people together to brainstorm when something comes up.
Yeah.
Time out. You're going to exclude people.
Okay.
So this is where creating work environments where you can say, right, this will be our brainstorming area or conference room or whatever it may be. It needs to have technology so that we can bring in those working remotely. So they can be part of the brainstorming. And if you said to people, we're going to go and brainstorm 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I want everyone over, in this brainstorming area. By the way, please ring so-and-so and get them to, jump on the Zoom so they can join us as well. That 5, 10, 15 minutes, that gives other people the chance to transition out of the work they're doing. Because I don't know about you, Neda, you may have had one of those where people are like, we got to meet right away.
Yes.
And you're supposed to just drop everything. And you're like, can I just close out this email? And why don't you give everybody 10 minutes? This is where emojis, you can put a little red siren emoji on and send a little signal out to everyone you want to brainstorm. But give everyone that 10 minutes, and that gives the time to get that remote worker, that person working from home that day, a chance to get, I say notified and be part of that brainstorming too.
Yeah, I think this is something that companies definitely have to keep in mind as they start thinking about hybrid work environments, because, people are being welcomed back into the office, but some people are not going to go back in. So they definitely, that's something to consider for sure.
And people who have always worked remotely and have felt very distant because of that. It's like, come on, right? We've seen how we can use technology. Let's make this better as we go back into the workplace. Let me just touch on a couple of these last three we've got here. Report back. Hey, Fridays are no meeting Friday, and we're doing professional development programs. Why not on a Monday morning, or whenever you have a weekly team meeting, ask someone to report back on what they've learned, what they attended, kind of like a book report. Share some things so that other people can benefit from your learning. Doodle. Okay. What is the bane of, there may be many, right? The bane of my existence. I won't ask you the question and embarrass you, but you can tell me if you agree with this. The bane of my existence sometimes, and I remember this at work in particular, scheduling.
The worst.
Okay. For teams, why don't you use something like Doodle? So that, and then also too, you can find out what are some of the best times. You could set up the Doodle, so in some ways it's on an anonymous basis, but you don't have to ask for explanations from people, because that's the other problem. Oh, well, I can't that day because I've got to look, we start making stereotypes and judgments.
Mm-hmm.
And instead saying, these times are not, I am best available. And then you can start scheduling your meetings around what is best for everyone. And you can explain to people, hey, did the Doodle for the team. This was the best available time for everyone. I'm sorry for who it inconvenienced. But the amount of energy and angst, right? When you're like the person coming in on that endless email exchange of who's available, and you're like, yeah, but I'm not available then because I need to go and pick up my kids from school because they finally can go to school again. And then everyone's like, well, can't you get someone else to do it? And you feel like you're being judged and you're excluded. Doodle, people, doodle, 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 or something like Doodle.
Of course.
And the weekly prompt, I think this is a great one for managers. Send out to the team once a week. What do you need help with?
I love that. So is that, are you thinking more of like a creative prompt, or is it more basic?
Or like, it's a networking prompt in some ways, in terms of like, what is one thing right here, right now, the team can help you with?
Yeah, that's a great idea. I'm sure something will come up because there's always something that can be helped with.
Right. They could say, oh, I'm struggling with this, or, I suck at PowerPoint. Is anyone good at that? Like whatever, what one thing the team could help you with, and creating a weekly kind of idea that it's okay to put it out there and raise your hand that you need help, and encouraging people to be really specific. They could need an email reviewed. They could say they're having trouble reaching a certain customer. Could someone help them with their sales pitch? Like, what's right here, right now? This is something I've done with entrepreneurs. So just every week, right here, right now. What do you need? Do you need a retweet? Do you need a repost? Do you need someone to write a book review? What do you need?
Right.
And sometimes those little things are the ones that really, right? It's like the stone in your shoe. Mm-hmm. It's not a big stone. It's a little one, but it's really irritating. And if you could just get that out of your shoe, you could keep walking and focus.
Totally. Since we're still on the subject of teams, we did have a audience question that I feel like would be relevant today. So the person asked, how can managers and companies use team building and team meetings as an opportunity for networking? And that's like a pretty broad question, but I'm curious, what have you observed about team building, team meetings that could go right or could go wrong, and how can teams or managers kind of refocus that?
Well, this is think about the expectation and the setup for the team meeting. That gets back to the Doodle, like, making the scheduling less anxiety and frictionful, and pitting people against each other. I want to say having an agenda, which sounds crazy, but really circulating it and asking people in advance, what do you see as priorities and what do you think we should start with? Right. I think honoring the time of meetings is really important. And team meetings would be another great time for that weekly prompt of saying, hey, everyone coming to the meeting, what do you need help with? Mm-hmm. Some of this comes back to where we start. This is like that manufacturing of the serendipity of creating structures from help, rather than thinking, well, you can just go and ask someone. Hey, that's why we hired you, because you've got this and this. You'll find people. No, people need help. And organizations benefit from it. So
it's true. Yeah, I'm just thinking of like some of my weekly check-ins or team meetings where we go around and each say like something we're excited to work on that week, or a similar sort of thing, and it just sort of helps build that solidarity with everyone. And also like people that I don't really work as closely with, I sort of like still feel like I'm part of their work life, even though we don't interface all that often. So yeah, I love that idea.
Yeah. So there we go. just want to do this. Look, because I always love this.
Ah.
Say good morning from New York in Mexico. We seem to be popular in Mexico today, which I love. Love Mexico. My goddaughter lives in Mexico City, or one of my godchildren. And yes, Oman, thank you for staying up late with us and making this conversation part of your day today. And thank you, Kathleen. I know you're in California, and I love this.
Yay!
And that is me, Kathleen, as you have figured out. Awesome stuff. Okay, so I got one more idea, and then we can see if there's any questions, and we can talk about what we're going to do next time. And this gets back. This one more thought. This gets back to Neda, what I said about that networking concierge that offices could think about. This would be really critical for those in HR, in the people development area, the business development area, who has got that social capital and understands how the network and flows work. And it would be really critical to understand how that came about, because you can't say, it's because they're an extrovert. Right. I want to really dive into why some employees are motivated, but also what have been the projects, the volunteering, the committees, like what are the internal things that they have done consciously or subconsciously that has now created a network that is diverse, cross-department, cross-title, and you and I both can refer to a favorite case study of mine in Build Your Dream Network, Joe Styler at GoDaddy. Like, he's super connected, and understanding how he leads, manages, mentors, how he's looked after his own career, but how he's engaged with his colleagues would kind of give you some ideas and recommendations for other people. And understanding that the social capital is sometimes more important in getting answers and getting things done than hierarchy and title.
Definitely.
Wow. Whew. We covered, I know we always said these things would be 15 minutes, but they're 30 minutes because we got a lot to say, clearly. Hope that was helpful for everyone. And if it's useful, we can make this PowerPoint available. Stay tuned on that. And if there's questions, put them in the comments. Neda, what are we going to talk about next week?
I'm very excited for that conversation. It's our final week of Tip Tuesday, and we're going to be talking about onboarding, especially in a hybrid environment or a hybrid workplace or a remote workplace, which is kind of what we're situated in right now. So I think that's going to be really interesting to learn more from you about how to bring people in when they're new, and really make them feel like they're part of a company when they're working in their little square, their little Zoom square.
Exactly. And there might be some of the things we talked about today. It is also, it's like so critical that we can all probably have our horror stories of when we've joined a company and the onboarding makes you question why you why you took the job or left your old job. And hopefully we'll also play a little, yes, Kathleen, I can't wait to next week too. And we've also got a couple of fun Build Your Dream Network related tools. I want to say games, and maybe we'll try and incorporate those in. So yeah, a little Build Your Dream Network bingo. Always, who knew? You thought it was a book. There's bingo.
Incredible. There's a card game, there's bingo. We love it.
All right. And if you're a fan of, I would say, Cards Against Humanity, there's a clean, very clean Build Your Dream Network version. And so we might try and play those, or at least show you where you can find them as ways to bring your team together, to onboard people powerfully, and to enhance their network. So Delighted you joined us today. This video obviously going to be available for everyone to watch on LinkedIn. And add your comments, add your questions. Let us know your things that maybe we haven't touched upon. Folks like Kathleen, who keeps checking in. If there's something that we haven't touched in these 4 weeks, please let us know. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us today. So fun. And I mastered kind of showing a PowerPoint. I'm kind of thrilled with myself. You know?
Yeah, you did it.
We did it.
Yeah, just a reminder to everyone out there to check out Company Reads if you're interested in bringing Kelly to your organization and having her spread some more of this inspiring knowledge. I know you inspire me every time we talk, so I want to spread that wealth to the world.
I love these conversations, Neda. Thank you so very much. Always a joy to chat with you. Go out and conquer your Tuesday, everyone, and we'll see you 10:30 a.m. next Tuesday for, I'm going to say, the Kelly and Neda show for another Company Reads Build Your Dream Network Tip Tuesday networking conversation.
See you,
Stay
everyone.
well.
Bye.